So today we're going to pick up from where we left off when I saw you guys yesterday. When I saw you yesterday, we were talking about how when the United States goes through industrialization, we are really transforming. We're changing the way that our society is based, from one that was based on agriculture to one that's based on industry. Now, there are huge opportunities for people if you know what you're doing, if you're good at what you do, and to be perfectly honest, if you have what it takes to be a billionaire. Now, I will tell you first off, there is going to be this really economic idea that's going to have to sort of change and morph with the times. Today, we have some gigantic businesses, huge multinational businesses. So I want to ask you guys first, if we're talking like big business, what's the first business that comes to mind? Amazon, Apple, Disney, Microsoft, huge companies worth billions of dollars. These things didn't really exist before the late 1800s because business is limited to where the market is. Now, we have been talking before. Where are all the people in the United States in the mid to late 1800s? Where are they located, I mean? They're located in the East. So if you want a big business, it's got to be in the East. Because frankly, there's just nowhere else to go. Now that we have a network of railroads, though, now all of a sudden the whole nation is connected. We have a national market where you can get and send goods literally anywhere in the country in a handful of days. We were talking about this yesterday, how now you can ship goods all over the country in just a matter of days. You can get whatever you want. All this leads to a climate where now business can expand across the whole country. And they're also governed by what's called laissez-faire economics. Now, this is really the business climate of the time. Laissez-faire is a French phrase that simply means allowed to do. What this is suggesting is let these businesses do whatever they want, whatever they need to make their product and to make money. Get the government out of their way. Don't restrict them. Let them do whatever they want. Now, let me just kind of make a comparison here, because I'm sure you guys are aware. Today, in the United States, we have one of the freest capitalist economies in the world. But we still have government regulation. Government rules to limit what business can do. So let me ask you guys, what's one thing you know that a government law that limits what a business can do? They say you cannot do this, or you must do that. What's one thing you can think of? My teenagers are a perfect example of this. Yes, ma'am. You have to pay them a minimum wage. If you pay them less than this, you're in violation. So minimum wage is what? Good. What else is there, maybe? Something else.
Child labor.
Excellent. You cannot work if you're younger than this age. Now, of course, there are kind of some loopholes to that, but they say this would be a violation of a law. Something else. Probably something else?
Safety regulation?
Yeah, it has to be like a certain level of safety. If it's below this, we're going to fine you. That's government regulation today. During this time, none of that existed. There were no regulations, basically. The federal government said, you do whatever you want to make your product. You want to have unsafe working conditions? Fine. You want to hire children to work in factories? Fine. Because they're cheaper than adults? Whatever. You can do whatever you want to make your product. And let the best person win. The success or failure of your business is on you. If you have what it takes to make your business succeed, then you will. If you don't have what it takes, your business will fail and die out. Now, this happens to coincide with a biological theory that's being really kind of presented at almost the same time. This idea that there are animals where we can look at the animals today and kind of walk back through fossil records and see how that animal has changed and morphed and adapted. Now, through those kind of fossil records, we can say this animal had an advantage over its competitors. This one was bigger, stronger, faster, smarter, whatever it is. This one succeeded while these others died out. Now, I have a feeling you know what I'm referring to here. What is this theory?
I think it's called like evolution or something.
You're on the right track.
Is it
Sure.
natural selection?
Natural selection. Charles Darwin has this theory in the mid-late 1800s, and people start saying, well, Darwin's making a lot of sense. Maybe this same theory can be applied to humans as well. Maybe there's social Darwinism, where we can take this same idea of those who thrive and those who fail and apply it to a business as well. Now, this idea really suggests that if your business is doing well, it's because of you. You have what it takes to make it thrive. Now, I will say this. If you're looking at a business in this way, this isn't necessarily wrong. If a business is thriving, it's because you're doing something right. If a business is failing, it's because you're doing something wrong. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to adjust. Because if you're not suited to succeed, then you will die out. Let the best man win. Now, I will say this as well. There are simply some people out there, and to be perfectly honest, I wish that I kind of had this trait more than what I do. There are people that just refuse to lose. I will give you an example, but I bet you can kind of think of someone in your mind. Michael Jordan is just one of these people. He just hates to lose, and he just won't have it. He won't do it. So whatever he was competing in, no matter how completely asinine it was, he just wanted to dominate and win. And what he always said too is he goes, I just can't handle losers. I can't be around them. I need winners. And he's just an absolute killer when it comes to competition. In this field, there's plenty of competition. Plenty of people that want to make a lot of money. We're going to look at two people that will take these opportunities who are absolute competitors, cutthroats, just killers. One of them is Andrew Carnegie. Now, this guy was a Scottish immigrant, came to the United States with literally nothing. He had the clothes on his back, that was it. He came to the United States as a child. If I remember correctly, I think he went to school for 1 year. That was it. He started working when he was, I believe if I remember right, he was 8 or 9 years old. He starts working at a railroad yard. And he's just very good at what he does. He's a hard worker. And he's just crazy competitive. He works in this railroad yard. He does well. He's 8 years old. He starts kind of moving up the ladder. The railroad liked this guy. But he got to a point where he said, I'm at a crossroads in America where there is unlimited amounts of money to be made. I just need to make certain that I choose the right path. He leaves the railroad business and says, the future of this country is in steel. Now, he's not necessarily wrong. We were talking about it yesterday. How during the late 1800s, we're building. We are making infrastructure. We're making buildings. Steel is out there. It's going to be very valuable. And what Carnegie sees is, I understand how to make steel, and what I understand is the people that are doing it are dumb, and they're not doing it well. We need to revolutionize the way we make this material. Now, remember I was telling you guys about Bessemer last time? The guy who kind of accidentally figured out how to purify the iron. The way that they were doing it is slow and inefficient. And Carnegie says, I can do it better. I can make this product faster, cheaper, and on a much grander scale than my competitors. I'm going to crush them. I'm going to annihilate them. But I can't stand losers. I need the right people to do it with me. Now again, Carnegie's just one of those people. He's just ruthlessly competitive. But it makes him good at what he does. He's going to invest in the right things. He's going to invest in new machinery, some new techniques, better ways to make the steel. And he says, I'm going to make an empire. I just need the right people around me. I can't do it on my own. Now, he's absolutely right. He needs the right people. What Carnegie would often do is he would hire 10 managers for each of his foundries, for each of where you make his steel. He'd hire 10 of them and tell them, I'm going to make one of you wealthier than your wildest imaginations. One of you is going to get to run this foundry. But I don't know who it is yet. You need to prove it to me. Out of those 10 people, he would in fact keep one of them, make them millionaires, multi-millionaires. And the other 9 got fired. Tough. Compete. If you can't compete, then get out of the way. Because this guy is ruthless. Now, like I said, he's going to make millionaires out of people. Thousands upon thousands of people who work for him become millionaires because they have what it takes. But you better be tough. And you better be a competitor. Because if you're not, you're going to get run over. The way that Carnegie would run his business was ruthless. He instituted what he is going to deem his vertical integration. Now, I put it right here for a specific reason. What vertical integration is as Carnegie said, I need to make my product as cheap as possible. I'm going to crush my competition by lowering the price. In order to do that, I need to buy out every single step that it takes to make steel. I need to own the whole process because it's cheaper that way. You can make your product much cheaper if you own all the steps. He's not wrong. So first, he wants to buy out all the iron mines. Then buy out the coal fields so that he can melt the iron. Buy out shipping, transportation. Buy out everything that it takes to make your product. Own it all. Then you're in a position of strength. So I need to kind of say this. Let's pretend that you own a steel factory and Carnegie buys up all the iron, owns it all. Are you in a lot of trouble? Why? Can't make steel without iron. So if he owns all the iron, you're not making steel anymore, right? This is then phase 2, the horizontal integration, where Carnegie is going to buy up his competitors. Now again, let's kind of go back to this little example. Let's again pretend Carnegie has all the iron mines. If you're trying to make steel, it's not going to go well. You're going to go out of business. Yeah, you are. Carnegie owns it all. So what he would often do is approach these competitors and say, look, I know for a fact you can't compete with me. So I'm going to give you a break. I want your foundry. I want you to come work for me. I will make you fantastically wealthy. I'll make you one of those managers. Or I can be a little bit patient and your company will fail and you'll be homeless and starving in the streets. Do you have much of an option? What do? You go work for Carnegie? Yeah. What's he establishing here? A monopoly. He wants to monopolize American steel. He almost does it. There's one other person we're going to talk about today who's even better at what he does than Carnegie.
Just like the Rockefeller.
This is John D. Rockefeller.